Da ni eisiau rhannu chdi bach o bethau hefo chi am brosiect ymchwil ar enw Dyffryn Dyfodol. Ac da ni'n edrych ar sut mae sefydliadau cymunedol, amgylcheddol a creadigol yn cydweithio yn Dyffryn Conwy i archwilio ffyrdd gwahanol o weithio. So, os da chi ddim wedi troi fyny i'r cyfarfod am y pethau yna, da chi'n y lle wrong, sori, so allai bod yna Zoom arall, ond gobeithio bod chi'n y lle iawn, so edrych ymlaen i rannu efo chi. So, dwi jyst yn mynd i rannu y trefn y dydd hefo chi. So, na i rannu sgrin hefo chi. A mi fydd na dipyn o nôl ymlaen rhannu sgrin a dim rhannu sgrin. So, yr agenda heddiw yma, dwi'n mynd i rannu chdi bach o gefndir i'r prosiect efo chi, peth cyntaf. Cyn ni'n symud ymlaen at Justin, sy'n mynd i rannu gwybodaeth am ddatblygu partneriaeth rhwng y sefydliadau. Wedyn, mae Sioned yn mynd i sôn am y gwyddorion y lle gweithio y prosiect. Cyn ni'n symud ymlaen at Katie, sy'n mynd i rannu chydig o siampla weithgaredda, da ni wedi bod yn gwneud. A wedyn gen i ymateb i be da ni wedi drafod gen Claire, sydd yn wych, cyn ni symud ymlaen at y cwestiynau ar y diwedd. So, dyna trefn y dydd gyda ni. Dwi'n mynd i stopio rhannu wan. Dwi'n siŵr wrth i fi rannu a dim rhannu, rhywbryd fyddai'n rhannu'r ffenest anghywir. So, gwch chi weld beth ydych chi'n fod, ond gwni wynebu hynna pryd mae'n cyrraedd. So, bach o gefndir i'r prosiect gyda fi gyntaf. So, da ni'n chwilio sut da ni'n rhannu, be da ni'n gwneud efo prosiect hefyd. So mae heddiw yn actually rhan o hynna. Da ni ddim yn gwybod yn union y ffordd gorau i rannu be da ni wedi gwneud a sut da ni'n gwneud efo prosiect. So mae y sesiwn Zoom heddiw yn rhan o'r gwaith ymchwil datblygu gennym ni. So da chi'n yn special iawn yn cael yn bod yn rhan o'r broses archwilio hefo ni heddiw yma. So diolch chi am ymuno efo ni. A da ni heb di rhannu fel hyn o blaen. Da ni wedi rhannu yn fewnol efo'n sefydliadau a falle da ni dioed di rhannu yn gyhoeddiaeth eto am y prosiect. So, y rili awyddus i dderbyn adborth gyda chi a ddiwedd y sesiwn neu'n ystod y sesiwn. So, unrhyw beth gyda chi i rannu fyny sa'n rili defnyddio cael clywed gyda chi. A da ni am rannu yn eitha onest ag agored. A chdi'r atebion ddim i gyd gen ni. Da ni ddim yn deud wrth bobl be i wneud a sydd yn wneud o. Da ni jyst rhannu be da ni wedi wneud. So, dwi hwn ddim yn prosiect gorffenedig. So, dwi ddim fel adroddiad diwedd prosiect yn datgan be da ni wedi ffeindio allan o'r prosiect. Mae o dal yn fyw, mae'n dal i redeg tan mis Mawrth flwyddyn nesaf. So dim adroddiad diwedd prosiect ydy hwn. Ac os am lot amser yn ffodus i ni fynd i lot o fanylion heddiw yma, ond da ni'n rili keen i gadw mewn cyswllt efo chi os oes gennych chi ddiddordeb mewn pethau penodol i dal i drafod efo chi ac asgwrs dyfnach. Ac rili archwilio hefyd sut ni'n gallu rhannu'r manylion yna yn y dyfodol hefo'r byd hefyd. So, y prosiect. So mae Dyffryn Dyfodol yn brosiect partneriaeth rhwng Cyfoeth Naturiol Cymru a Cartrefi Conwy a Ffiwsar. Da ni wedi bod yn cydweithio am ryw 2 flynedd hanner bellach ac yn ffocysu ar ardal wledig dalgylch Afon Conwy. So fan'na da ni'n ffocysu ar y gwaith ni. A da ni wedi bod yn trio gwneud pethau chydig bach yn wahanol. Gwahanol i be? Wel, gwahanol i'r ffordd arferol sa'n ni'n gwneud pethau. Da ni'n cadw ffwrdd o eiriau fel innovative a newydd, achos dwi'n gwybod beth mae hynna'n feddwl lot o'r amser. So dwi'n meddwl ffordd gwahanol yn golygu bod o'n bersonol dan y ni, am y bobl ac am y sefydliadau sy'n rhan ohono fo. So ni'n gallu gwneud pwynt o wneud pethau mewn ffordd gwahanol i'r arfer. Yn lle mae'r syniad i dod o, tua 6 mlynedd yn ôl, 5-6 mlynedd yn ôl wan, o'n i'n dechrau meddwl am brosiect posib oedd mynd sydd hwnt i just prosiect celfyddydol, oedd yn cysylltu elfennau gwahanol yn bywydau ni, really. O'n i'n gweld bod yna angen am hynna, a bod fi wedi gweithio lot ar brosiectau celfyddydol stand-alone, os licio chi, lle oedd yna gwaith celf, da ni'n disgwyl bob i ddod am mwynhau. O'n i eisiau mynd yn ddyfnach i ryw radda i mewn i cymlethdod bywyd, swn i'n dweud, ydy o. So dwi eisiau gwneud chydig bach o weithgaredd efo chi wan, os da chi'n meindio. Ond cyn i wneud hynna, os di pawb sy'n fodlon, sy'n ddim efo sgrin o ymlaen ar hyn o bryd, os chi yn rhoi y sgrin eich ymlaen, a dwi'n mynd i ofyn i pawb ffeindio Katie Trent. Katie, lle fi ti? Ti'n fan'na? Hi Katie, ti'n fodlon chwifio yn y siwmper goch. So ni'n hoffi pawb wan pwyntio at Katie, please, os allwch chi. Lle mae hi ar y sgrin chi, hefo'ch bys. So pa gyfeiriad mae hi? Di pawb yn dal y bys i fyny? Mae hynna'n briliant. Dwi jyst mynd i gymryd screenshot cyflym o pawb, unig a llun o pawb, fel bod gynnau proof. So, fel da chi'n gweld yn fy sgrin i, diolch, gwch roed chdi lawr rwan, diolch fawr. Doedd pawb ddim yn pwyntio ar unig cyfeiriad. A hwnna'n really y ffordd syml iawn i ddatgan sut mae profiadau pawb yn hollol wahanol. Gan bwys be ydych chi feddwl ydych byd chi, ydych profiad chi. Hwnna'n jyst dangos chi di profiad fi ddim beth profiad chi, really. Really syml. So, just dyna dechrau i gnesu chi fyny ar gyfer y weithgaredd. So, dwi'n mynd i rannu sgrin eto. Os newch chi fynd i nôl eich pensel a'ch papur, dwi yn mynd i rannu sgrin a mynd drwy gweithgaredd cyflym efo chi wan. So, da ni wedi gwneud hynna. So, o'n i eisiau rannu efo chi, really, sut mae pen fi'n gweithio am ni i ryw raddau. Dim yn fanwl sut mae pen fi'n gweithio, ond i ryw raddau sut mae elfennau o sut dwi'n meddwl yn gweithio am ni. So, yn y llun yma, da chi'n gweld sut allan mae bobl yn trafod ein byd ni'n bywydau ni, lle mae popeth ar wahân wedi cael ei restru'n daclus neu sydd ddelio hefo fel pethau ar wahân ac yn eitha syml. Ond di hynna ddim really fel bywyd go iawn na chdi. So, sut mae pethau yn effeithio ar ei gilydd, sut maen nhw'n croesi ac yn plethu ac yn effeithio ar un peth a rhywbeth arall. Di ddim yn syml na chdi. So, dwi wedi gwneud fersiwn fi'n hun, sydd yn edrych fel hyn, sydd chydig bach yn lanast, really. Mae'n really messy, a ddim yn daclus o gwbl, mae'n really bled. So, fydd pawb yn creu rhai gwahanol o hein, a dwi wedi gwneud yr gweithgaredd yma fwy o blaen, a mae yna bob math o bethau amazing yn cael ei greu. So, dyma dwi'n mynd i wneud wan, dwi'n mynd i dywys chi ar daith creadigol, lle dwi'n mynd i enwi elfennau'n bywydau ni, a dwi'n mynd i ofyn i chi dynnu llun ar eich papur, lle maen nhw'n croesi drosodd a plethu, sydd bynnag ydych chi eisiau. Really. So, dwi'n mynd i ddiffod hwn rwan. So, hefo'ch darn o bapur, please. A cyn i fi ddechrau, os am fersiwn cywir ac anghywir, a peidiwch â meddwl bod o un neb arall, just gnewch be ydych chi'n teimlo sydd yn iawn efo hyn, really. So, yeah, dwi'n mynd i ddechrau wrth enwi maes ar ein bywydau ni a gofyn i chi dynnu llun. So, dwi'n mynd i ddechrau hefo cymuned neu cymunedau. So, os newch chi dynnu llun siap cymuned neu cymunedau, sgwach dda. So, hynna yn wych. A da ni'n mynd i rili lot o amser ar hyn. So, da chi'n angen gwneud masterpiece gwych. So, chi just yn dadlunio cymuned. Sy'n grêt. A wedyn dwi'n mynd i ofyn i chi symud ymlaen rwan i ystyried teulu. So, fewn yr un diagram na, sut ydych chi'n lle o pa siaps ydych chi'n creu fersiwn o'r teulu, ysgolch yna. A da ni'n symud ymlaen at gwaith. Nesaf, sut ydych chi'n rhoi gwaith? Be bynnag mae hynna feddwl i chi, gwaith. Sut mae hwnna'n ffitio mewn hefo be sgynnych chi yn barod ar eich papur chi. Be bynnag gwaith ydy hwnnw, be bynnag mae'n feddwl i chi. Fi fel arfer yn cymryd lot mwy amser hyn i wneud o, so dwi yn brysio chi, so mae ddiolch i mi. Nesa, da ni'n mynd i symud ymlaen at iechyd. Eto, be bynnag mae hynna feddwl i chi. Iechyd, iechyd corfforol, meddyliol, be bynnag mae'n olygu chi sy'n mynd i ffitio mewn i'ch diagram. Dwi am ffresio chi, sori, a symud ymlaen at amgylchedd. Sut ydych chi'n arlunio amgylchedd fel rhan o'ch diagram chi? Eto, be bynnag mae hynna'n feddwl i chi fel amgylchedd. Interpretation eich hunan. A dim dilyn yn gyflym ar sodla amgylchedd ydy dysgu. Be bynnag mae dysgu yn feddwl i chi eto. Darlunio dysgu fel rhan o'ch diagram. Dwi'n teimlo fel therapydd wan efo llais distaw ar y deg. Nesa, dwi eisiau chi ychwanegu iaith, ysgwach dda, at eich diagram. A ella bod chi'n rhedeg allan o'r lle, mae hynna'n hollol ffain. Hollol ffain. Ac yn y nesaf sy'n eich hoffi chi gynulleidfa ydy diwylliant. Eto, be bynnag mae hynna yn feddwl i chi. Diwylliant. A wedyn, fe chi'n falch o glywed na'r un ola sgynna i. Bach ysgafnach. Siocled gwin neu coffi. Pe bynnag un ydych chi isio, gwch chi'n neud y 3 neu un ohonyn nhw. Sut mae hynna, y pethau yna ydych chi'n really hoffi ffitio mewn i'ch diagram sydd wedi bod yn eitha trwm hyd yma, do? So, nes gafnach chi orffen efo. Gwych. Diolch. Sut mae hwnna wedi mynd? Ydy bobl yn fodlon dal ei diagram i fyny at y sgrin i rannu efo bobl eraill? So'n rili ddifyr gweld. Os ni wrth y modd, os ydych chi'n fodlon tynnu llun ag e-bostio nhw at fi, os ydych chi yn fodlon. So, di pawb eisiau dal o fyny fi, sy'n yn wych. Diolch pawb. Briliant. Ie, os ydych chi'n fodlon, tynnu llun efo ffôn a e-bostio, neu fydd yn chat, neu be bynnag sy'n gweithio chi, so'n really brilliant gweld hynna gynnech chi os ydych chi'n fodlon. So, wan, dwi'n mynd i ddechrau rhywbeth cyffroes, sef ein poll cyntaf ni. So, di hwnna ddim ddangos i chi. Y cwestiwn cyntaf. Os ydych chi'n cwblhau hwnna i fi, ysgolwch yn dda. Os ydych chi ddim eisiau cwblhau o, mae'n holl o ffain. Os yn credu chi yn. So, ni'n cael bach gnesu fel un, do? Rhyw chydig eiliadau eto i daro un o'r botymau, a wedyn ni'n gau poll na. Diolch i chi gyd am wneud hwnna. Gwych. Diolch. Sut oedd y sesiwn na? Iawn? Nes i fyny? Chi barod i fynd? So, da ni wwan yn mynd i symud ymlaen at ddechrau sôn am partneriaethau, ond just cyn hynna, dwi jyst mynd i sôn wrthych chi ynglyn â, dwi'n kind of edrych mewn ddadau fi ac yn trio rhannu sgrin rhywun pryd, so gadwch i fi just wneud un peth ar y tro, so hynna lot haws dwi'n meddwl. So, na fo, ydych chi'n gweld y sgrin? So, ia, oedd hynna'n ddifyr yn doedd gweld faint o'r wahanol oedd diagramau pawb, a fydd bob un yn unigryw. A dyna rili lle mae'r prosiect i ddechrau gen ni, rili. Ac hefo'r prosiect, da ni eisiau rili derbyn y cymhlethdod ar byd na, a dydy bywyd ddim yn syml, a profiadau gwahanol bobl. A dyna lle nath Dyffryn Dyfodol ddechrau. A hefyd mae'r llun yma, jyst yn dangos chi hefyd, mae yna fersiynau gwahanol, fel sy'n yna o'r diagramau, mae fersiynau gwahanol o'r Dyffryn, da ni'n gweithio yma hefyd yn does. Dim just y bobl sy'n byw ar y tir, ond yr tir hefyd. A mae hynny'n digwydd drwy'r flwyddyn, fel yn y llun yma, neu dros amser hefyd, rili. So, bach mwy gefndir cyn symud, Justin, ydy mae Dyffryn Dyfodol yn edrych at dyfodol, dyna ffocws o, da ni'n mynd anwybyddu'r gorffennol o gwbl, ond dyna da ni'n edrych ar tuag at dyfodol. Sut da ni'n lleihau rhwystra, sut da ni'n gwneud pethau wahanol i'r arfer, sut da ni'n ystyried cymhlethdodau yna, ac yn kind of derbyn profiadau gwahanol o bobl. So, fydd ni ddigon ffodus i dderbyn arian gan Cyngor Cyfryngau Cymru, cysylltau ffynnu, sydd yn wych o bot, sydd yn agored i weithio wahanol, sydd wedi gallu gen i wneud y prosiect yma, so diolch Cyngor Cyfryngau Cymru. A wedyn, y partneriaid, y 3 sefydliad sydd yn arwain ar hydeg y prosiect yn amlwg, ond oedden ni'n herio'n hynna drwy'r amser ynglyn â, ydy hynna'n golygu na ni ddylio benderfynu pob peth, a da ni'n meddwl y dyliau ni, a dwi'n siŵr na ni sôn mwy am hynna nes ymlaen. A wedyn, dyma ni dechrau y prosiect go iawn wrth i ni archwilio sut i greu partneriaeth rhwng 3 sefydliad rili gwahanol. A ia, dwi'n meddwl ar y pwynt yna, na i basio ymlaen at Justin, i ti Justin can sôn mwy am partneriaethau. Diolch.
Hi pawb, Justin Hanson ydw i, dwi'n gweithio efo Cyfoeth Cymru. Nawr te, dydw i ddim yn gallu siarad am pethau fel hwn yn Cymraeg, sorry. I'm Justin Hanson. I work for Natural Resources Wales. I'm just apologising. I won't be able to speak in Welsh about this kind of subject, and so I'm going to talk in English. So, Yuan, if you could, that's brilliant. So I just thought I'd start off with a quick slide, kind of giving, reminding us where the Conway catchment is and why it's so important to NRW. It's a really big catchment. There's a huge amount of water in there that and all of that water comes from the uplands, and it all kind of congregates in one place, which is Llanrwst, which brings with it all kind of important aspects of our work. The catchment's really important in terms of like I said, the river, the catchment. There's special designated sites. So there's European special areas of conservation. There are SSSI sites of special scientific interest. We've got a huge amount of forestry and woodland there. We've got peatlands, which are really important for the climate and climate change and for biodiversity in their own right in the uplands, also in terms of flooding. It's a big area. It encompasses a lot of communities, and those communities interact and do things within the natural environment and within the forests, within the beaches, within the rivers, within the seas, etc. So basically I was saying, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of wildlife, there's a lot of people, and for us also there's a heck of a lot of work, and that's why that's why one of the reasons why we were so interested, and why we're so interested in the Conway catchment. So this slide really, it's a bit of a thing just to explain to us a little bit about NRW. We're really good with data. We love data. We spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time working with that data. We spend a lot of time telling and regulating. We're really good at managing our natural environment, and we're really good, and we have to. We're really good at reacting to things, and that's the way NRW worked for a long, long time. But then COVID happened, and COVID taught us something else, that it was that kind of local environment and our communities that really helped us all get through COVID. It helped us really get through that time of lockdown. And we all did it. We all went out in a local environment. It's all we could do, wasn't it? And it also taught us that we needed to engage or think about engaging differently with those communities and with those places where we were working. So when an opportunity came up to be part of this new partnership, exciting new project, we were really keen. We jumped at it, although it was a bit like when you get invited to a really cool person's party and you're a little bit nervous because you're not quite sure, will you fit in, will they listen, etc. But what I'm here to say is the party was great. So through that party, through the partnership, there's 4 things really. I've always said it's 3 before, so this will catch you and Kate and people out. There's 4 things really which we concentrate on. We developed a partnership because we were new partners together, Cartreford, Conwy, Fusar, NRW. We hadn't worked together really before. So it meant learning about working in new ways. And that's from really simple admin stuff. How do you share data? How do you share our notes? How do we talk to each other? Those sorts of things. So, we spent time doing that, which led into, developing ways of working with each other. How we talk, how we interact, how we plan, how we behave, how we challenge each other. It sounds really basic, but in the past, or it's too easy to overlook. So it's particularly when you're busy, and particularly when you want to jump into doing things. And I think one of the really good things about this project was that we took time to spend time together, developing all of these systems, developing these ways of working with each other. We also developed ways of working with communities, and new things for NRW, more listening, more asking questions, not being the experts. And it's about, about understanding different perspectives, other people's priorities, and how all those objectives, how they can all be combined and work together. I mean, the other big thing for us was the learning and the replicability, if that's even a word, how we could replicate this in other places. How easy could we do this again somewhere else? From my perspective, I'm thinking of other places across Northwest Wales where I'd love to do this kind of thing a little bit differently, maybe the same, whatever, in different places, different things. But, this is really replicable. I can't say that word, I don't know why. And as part of that, it's really important that we all, that we remember, that we all realise we don't need all the answers all the time. In fact, it's really quite good to go to a community without those answers, because you're not going there and you're not prejudging. The 5th thing is obviously the really fantastic activities that Katie and Sean are going to talk about a little bit later. So I think we've popped onto the next slide. Yeah, so that's fine where we are, Johan. No, well, it doesn't really matter. So in terms of those ways of working, as you can see, we met up, we visually explored. Yeah, go on to the next slide, Johan. We visually explored what partners wanted. There's lots of detail there. Don't worry about the detail. Just kind of take the image in. There's lots of connectivity. There's lots of detail. There's lots of things that were really important to the different organisations that were involved. Just kind of get an essence of the three partners and their aims. We put those all together. That work was helped with a creative facilitator. She helped us explore what we did now. Basically what we do now, what we did now, what we wanted. And in exploring interest in how we could really work together better. For me, again, it was about, I'd go back here on, for me, it was about, like I said, new ways of thinking, and particularly, listening. We developed a record of what we did, a visual and text version. That became our partnership agreement. And what you're looking at there is one step towards that partnership agreement. And, it's not a way I'd ever worked before. In terms of recording what was important, but it produced something really, really very strong. And I would say, from the whole approach, I've been really lucky to be involved. And NRW's been really lucky to be involved. It's been a huge sort of set of learning for us. And if we really want to achieve sustainable management of our natural resources, we need to do a lot more things. We need to do a lot more, and we need to do a lot more differently than what we've been doing up till now. I think that's another really valuable lesson that I've learned from being involved in this project. We achieve different things. So the slide here now, in terms of applying that learning, we were talking about the catchment, and in Northwest Wales, in the Conwy catchment, we've developed this way of working with each other and with our partners now called Llyfo. And we call it Llyfo because it needed a name, but also Llyfo because it's about flows, Llyfo meaning flows. And so really, obviously, you can start off with the fact that, the water flows from the uplands, it flows down the river to the sea, and you've got the water cycle. But as well as that, there's all sorts of other flows. There's flows of people in and out of the catchment. There's flows of stories going in and out of the catchment. There's flows of money going in and out of the catchment. Everything that we do is connected by flows, and so we took that as an opportunity to start working with each other in a different way, looking at those flows. I don't have time to go into detail about it, but very simply, it's getting people together in a space where they getting people together in a space where they can talk, they can interact, they can avoid bumping into each other, avoid standing on each other's toes, so we know what's going on. Again, it sounds really basic, sounds really simple, but it's something that maybe we've lost, and particularly maybe we lost when we lost some of that face-to-face contact during the lockdowns. Other ways we've applied this are really simply, we held some drop-ins recently in Newborough. Newborough's been a really interesting place of work, a very busy place of work for us, and we, being completely honest, we haven't had the best relationship with some parts of the community. What we did was we just made people aware that we were going to be working from the community centre for a week. So we did our normal work and just made people aware, you're welcome to come and drop in, you're welcome to come and talk to us. And it was really interesting. We've got I've been involved with Newborough for a long time. We've got a very different set of people that were coming in to talk to us, and that was great. It was really nice to see different people. And when they were coming in, they said, so what do you want to talk to us about? And we're saying, well, we haven't come here to we haven't come here to talk to you. We've come here to actually listen. So we haven't come here with our normal kind of slick posters and stuff like that. We want to, and that surprised some people, but it also worked really, really well. How am I doing for time, Johan?
If you want to bring it to a close now, Justin, that would be lovely. Deal. I mean,
Sorry.
we could listen to you for days, but yeah, I'm aware that Sean has got a lot to share as well.
No, that's fine. So the last slide I got here is it's a Japanese artist called Kusama, who I was really, really lucky enough to go and see her work. And this is a work about infinity rooms. It's basically it's a room of mirrors which reflects lights for basically infinity. The reason I'm sharing it is because I think partly what I was talking about before, the element of replication in this work is endless. There's so much we can do with the way that the lessons we've learned from this. There's so much we can go on and do like that. And I think it's also about seeing things differently. And what I was saying as well, that we do see things differently. We see different perspectives, and that there's endless communities, and we can't treat them all in the same way. And however we move and work around those communities, we see them slightly differently. And it certainly isn't about us and them. It's about them and them, and them and them and them, and them and their dog. It's about everybody that's involved. And the more we can reflect what they want in what we do, the better for all of us. I'll stop you.
Diolch, Justin. That's great. Diolch am rannu. Lots of interesting insights there, and glad to hear there's an added point, 4 ways rather than 3 now. Justin, you always surprise us. That's good. Diolch am rannu. Sioned, dwi'n mynd i basio I ti rwan. Sioned yn mynd i rannu am egwyddorion y prosiect. Diolch, Sioned.
Diolch, Iwan. Helo, so Sioned dwi, a dwi'n reolwr effaith cymunedol a chymdeithasol Creating Enterprise, sydd yn rhan o Cartrefi Conwy. Felly dwi'n gyfrifol am y gwaith cymunedol I gyd sy'n mynd ymlaen yng nghymunedau Cartrefi Conwy. Felly, fel ddywedodd Iwan, da ni'n rhan o'r bartneriaeth a dwi yma I gynrychioli y grŵp, felly grŵp Cartrefi Conwy. Nes I ddod ynghlwm â'r prosiect tua blwyddyn yn ôl, ond na jyst bach o newidiadau yn y sefydliad, a dwi'n edrych ymlaen I gael jyst rhannu rhai o'r egwyddorion da ni'n weithio fo yn y bartneriaeth, a esiamplo o sut maen nhw wedi galluogi ni I ddod â'r prosiect yn fyw. Gan bod y prosiect wedi mynd ymlaen dipyn hirach, so dros y 2 flynedd a hanner fel udodd Iwan, ella fydd Iwan yn dod I fewn hefyd os fyddai jyst yn weirio frantically fama. Felly, jyst rhoi bach o background I chi rili, fel Cymdeithas 2, mae gen Cartrefi Conwy stoc ar hyd ardal Dyffryn ac Afon Conwy, a felly oedd o'n neud sens I ni ddod ymlaen fel partner, ac oedd o'n rhywbeth really exciting ni, achos oedd o'n gyfle I edrych ar y ffordd da ni'n ymgysylltu mewn tenantiaid a cyfle I neud pethau gwahanol. Felly mae'n stoc ni fel ydych chi ar hyd yr ardal yn bennaf yn tre Llanrwst. Lle mae gennym ni ddatblygiad reit fawr yn mynd ymlaen ar un o'r stada, dwi'n siŵr fysa pawb sy'n gyfarwydd â Llanrwst yn gwybod bod o'n mynd ymlaen ers dipyn o flynyddoedd bellach. Felly naturiol I ni roedd dod â'r partneriaeth ynghlwm â'r gwaith yma yn neud sens ac yn gyfle gwych I ni gallu trio pethau gwahanol o ran ymgysylltiad tenantiaid a phobl sy'n byw yn y cymunedau hefyd. Felly mae'r llun sydd gennych chi ar y sgrin yn be oedd rhan o stad Glanrafon yn Llanrwst, lle nathon ni ddymchwel 30 o mis yn et fel Cymdeithas 2 I allu atab y galw rili, y galw lleol am 2 fforddiadwy I deuluoedd. Felly ar hyn o bryd, mae'r mis yn et I dod lawr a mae'r tai I fyny, a mae'r prosiect amgylcheddol yn dal yn mynd ymlaen. Felly trawd y gwaith yma'n mynd ymlaen, roedd yna lwyth o deuluoedd a thenantiaid yn byw yn gyfagos, felly more or less yn byw ar y site, sy'n dod â ni rili i'r egwyddor cynta. Felly dwi'n siŵr bod pawb sydd yma bore yma di prynu tŷ, di peintio stafall, di trio dylunio gardd a di trio dylunio dod fyny efo ryw fath o plan. A dwi'n siŵr bod pawb yma hefyd yn gwybod bod bob ddim yn mynd I plan, a mwy aml na beidio ddim yn mynd I plan. A dwi'n meddwl fel partneriaeth a fel organisation rili, mae'n cymryd lot o hyder I allu just cymryd bod o'n I beidio cael yr atebion I gyd ar y dechrau. Bod gynnon ni'r cynlluniau ffantastig mae pethau just o hyd yn mynd I newid, a mae hwnna just I bod yn rili pwysig I ni fel prosiect. A dyma'r ardal, just I roi context, felly bod Llanrwst yn dre eitha bach, o ran pan da ni'n sbio'r drefi ar hyd a lled Cymru, mae yna gymaint o bobl gwahanol o bob oed, bob cefndir, a fel bob man arall, fysa one size fits all approach ddim yn gweithio yn fama chwaith. Felly, ymlaen i'r gazebo glamorous yma. Felly, dyma 2 artist, Emily, Lisa a Gangharad, a fallan, a pan dwi'n dweud ploncio hynna'n yn ganol y stad, dyna'n union atyn nhw, ar reit ar ddechrau'r prosiect, am 4 diwrnod efo'r bwriad o siarad efo pobl oedd just yn cerdded pasio, a fel udodd Justin rwan, does na ddim hidden agenda, does na ddim byd da ni angen gyn bobl, mae o just dod I nabod nhw. 4 diwrnod o droi fyny, gweld beth yn dod allan o'r chats yma, A be nathon ni ffeindio'n gynnar iawn oedd bod pobl eisiau teimlo'n agosach at natur, eisiau gwneud mwy o bethau tu allan, a yn enwedig y natur oedd gynnon nhw ar eu stepan drws. A dwi'n siŵr fel i ddod jyst yn eto efo'r lockdown, nath hwnna roed cyfle i ni fynd allan lot, ac allan drws ddim o wahanol yn byd arall. Felly nath hyn resultio'n Emily mynd fewn i'r afon sy'n llifo trwy'r stad, so pawb yn gweld yr afon yma bob dydd, a rioed di rili cael y cyfle i sbio fewn iddo fo. So doedd o'n plan i fynd fewn i'r afon ar y dechrau, ond oedd o'n ffitio fewn efo be oedd pobl isio. A felly'n dod â gwir diddordeb hefyd. A be nathon ni wedyn oedd rhoi taflen at ei gilydd o bob dim nathon nhw ddod ar draws yn y diwrnod yna. A wedyn mae'r rhestr yna ar gael wedyn i rannu efo bobl lleol. Ond mae llwyth o bethau gwahanol, llwyth o greaduriau gwahanol. Ac oedd hwnna jyst yn gwneud pobl deimlo'n rili falch o fyw yna, bod nhw'n teimlo rili jyst lot agosach o be o'i cwmpas nhw. Wedyn, mynd ymlaen i'r egwyddor nesaf o wneud pethau wahanol hefyd, yn draddodiadol fysa ymgysylltu efo pobl ifanc yn cael ei wneud mewn ysgol, mewn youth club, neu ar stada tai lle mae'r teuluoedd ma'n byw, a dyna nathon ni, oedden ni'n disgwyl iddyn nhw ddod ato ni, a wedyn gathon ni groeso mawr yn yr ysgol gynradd ac yn yr ysgol uwchradd yn Llanrwst, lle nathon ni wedyn mynd â nhw allan o setting yr ysgol, allan i'r amgylchedd, a iddyn nhw gael gweld bethau sydd o'i cwmpas nhw hefyd. Felly mae hwn yn esiampl o just wneud yn siŵr bod ni'n trio dod i adnabod a just cael yr involvement na gyda pobl ella fysa'n draddodiadol yn rhy shei ddod ata ni yn y gazebos bod gynnon ni de, coffi, biscuits a bob dim. A just trio, just wneud yn siŵr bod y reach yna gyda ni. A wedyn mae gyda ni pethau nathon nhw ddod fyny o'r afon, yr wya pysgod Iwan.
Nath nhw weld pysgod yn trio neidio wrth ymla'r afon o ddim yn gallu mynd i fyny, so nath ni fynd i gydweithio efo Parc Cenedlaethol i gael diorfa ar gyfer ysgol gynradd, lle nath nhw gael wya, tyfu nhw mewn i ffrau dis term Saesneg, yn bysgod bach cyn nhw ryddhau nhw yn yr afon wedyn yn gwneud y cyswllt yn gryfach rhwngthyn nhw a byd natur o'i cwmpas nhw.
Diolch. A wedyn mae gennym ni just esiampla, just dipyn bach o esiampla yma o pethau nath ddeillio allan o'r ymgysylltiad na'r cydweithio. Felly fydd hein yn rhywfaint o'r pethau sydd yn mynd i fod yn rhan o'r datblygiad, sef rhodfa Phil Evans o'n yr hen Glanrafon yn Llanrwst. So mae gennym ni lle fydd i ista fel benches sydd wedi cael ei designio. Mae yna design efo flow y dŵr, a wedyn mae gennym ni yr bug haws oedd ei ddechrau fo, mae wedi troi fewn i ryw bug skyscraper, achos mae'n anferthol, ond mae yna lot o, nath hwnna gael ei adeiladu efo lot o deuluoedd o plant lleol hefyd, so just dipyn o enghreifftiau yma. Diolch.
Diolch Sianed am rannu. Mae'n gymaint mwy i ddeud am yr egwyddorion, does hefyd, ac am y prosiect yna yn rhodfa Phil Evans, ond diolch ti am rannu. Dwi'n mynd i basio mlaen at Katie sy'n mynd i rannu mwy o wybodaeth a mwy o weithgaredda da ni wedi gwneud hefyd. So, dros at ti, Katie.
Ia, bore da pawb. Mae'n teimlo fel kind of a relay race. Just like, right. So, dwi'n mynd i siarad am yr cinema'r bikes rwan. Cyntaf, mae'n y ffilm bach.
Mae hwn yn rhan o Dyffryn Dyfodol. Dyn ni'n gweithio hefo cymunedau ar draws ardal-wledig y sir. Be dyn ni'n gobeithio wneud ydi gweithio mewn ffordd gwahanol hefo cymunedau. Gobeithio wrth nocio drysa a siarad efo bobl, bod ni'n gallu bod yn rhan o'r dyfodol maen nhw eisiau weld ar gyfer y cymuned yno.
It's been a night of kind of just bringing people in the community together to share an experience outside to what they might normally have. We've had young people helping on the tea stand, we've had people helping with the cycling. It's just kind of been a really nice community effort.
Gwych. OK, achos mae gen I lot I dweud, dwi'n eisiau colli dim byd, felly dwi'n mynd i siarad yn Saesneg, so sorry. OK, so we worked with 3 different rural communities on housing estates managed by Cartrefi Conwy, and although it was us that chose the locations, i.e. going to where people lived and not expecting them to come to us, we wanted the communities to make as many decisions as much as they could throughout the whole activity. Slide nesa. So in terms of decision making, we really wanted people to have a voice and choose what film they wanted to see, getting them to sort of publicise the night within their communities and also getting them involved in practical action on the nights. And in each location, we approached the community face to face through door knocking, through flyering, which subsequently led to us having pop-up stalls and on the estates, and that was to kind of, connect further with people, repeat our presence on the estates. And just slow down a second, Yuan, sorry. So in each location at the stalls, there are different engagement activities. So for example, making Welsh cakes or making seed bombs. And at every face-to-face interaction, there was an opportunity for people to suggest films or film genres, to suggest locations of the screenings on the estates. And also we had notice boards, post-it notes, and we also provided email address and phone number to give out too, should people want to kind of connect with us at another time. We were just trying to offer a range of communication channels. So throughout Dyffryn Dyfodol, through all our activities, we're always questioning ourselves. We're always just sort of checking in with what's happening, what we're observing. So, for example, within this element of Dyffryn Dyfodol, the cycle cinema, we were asking, God, will people even make suggestions, and how could we encourage this to happen, and how collectively can decisions be made? Who is making the decisions, and who haven't we spoken to? So we didn't set ourselves any numbers of, any target numbers for engagement prior to the events, nor for bums on seats. We didn't know how the nights were going to go, but ultimately, there is a process of evaluation. So all the 3 nights certainly had a buzz about them, but they were all very different, as you might expect. We were in 3 completely different communities. So I don't know where we would slide to you, Anne, but but anyway. So as we sort of mentioned, numbers aren't just the way to measure how it went, but we did, we have, records of who was there, did they take part in the cycling, were they helping out for refreshments, were they helping out in the popcorn stand, who was involved with clearing up afterwards, who was involved filling up hot water from their homes to help replenish the hot water dispensers. And so lessons learned, I mean, that's always the big thing, isn't it? I guess it's about really being honest about, what aspects of, all aspects of what happened. So just for example, one of the estates only had 2 families from the estate on the night that came, although we'd had lots of conversations prior, although lots of other people came from outside the estate. We had some short films before the main film, which were on either local creative action and the environment. But on the night, folk weren't really interested in that. They wanted, it was still too light in terms of the sunlight, and they wanted to socialise. One of the films was too long and folk ran out of energy to cycle, so drifted off before it finished. But do you know what? The film itself wasn't the important thing. What was more important was being out in a communal space, sharing recycling responsibility, being out with family and friends and neighbours, and bringing together people who might not normally connect. Okay, so I get a bit more of a slot now. So now I'm just going to share with you another strand of Dyffryn Dyfodol, which is how our creative call out worked. And for us within the creative framework, this was really interesting. It was about commissioning creative people, but doing it differently. So not calling them artists, but calling them creatives. This did result in a DIY man and a psychologist getting in touch with us. There was no application form, no CV, no letter. Initially, it was just a call and a conversation with us. We didn't define what the creative activity nor the art form was, nor the community, where we know what the community was. We had rough geographical area, as you've seen previously within the common catchment. We were flexible with timings and delivery timescales. So the activity was up to the creatives and the communities that they wanted to work with. Next slide. So out of 66 conversations, we had 28 ideas submitted, which did require either a written, audio or video proposal. And within the partnership, we challenged how the selection process worked, acknowledging our biases before we started. And out of those 28, we had 12 paid shortlisted creatives. So they were paid to develop their ideas further and also paid to join us and each other for a face-to-face explore and offering to, support each other, actually. Those people that weren't selected in that shortlist, we also offered to support those in their activities and endeavours as well. Next slide. So out of the 12, we had 6 creative people. They received £3,000 for their idea, for their project, plus a further £2,000 for them to meet up with us and each other, so enabling a support network to sort of take hold. We really were trying to move away from the kind of concept of being funders, but being collaborators. So that's been quite important to us. We've had regular face-to-face meetings with them, as well as online sessions as well. And obviously creating a space for open dialogue is really, really rich for learning. Everything can be discussed, everyone can challenge and also support each other, but it takes time to develop these relationships, which we have tried to build into the process. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a tiny little, very quick summary of what the creatives are doing. This is Ti Dechrau. This is an invitation to take a walk to the start of the River Conwy, to have a number of prompts to elicit conversation about the environment and about your connection with it. Nessa? This is a really big event now. This is Gwyl Garog Festival. So diary marker, everybody, 10th of September on Sunday in Darganfod. This is the creative has brought together an amazing number of people to bring the heart back to their community and create a festival. Okay, so this creative, her activity is now linked to Gwyl Garog and the Futures tent, which is happening on the 10th of September. And we've got here, sorry, I'm just rushing the UN. This is Oriel Machno. Originally, this was a shop in Penmachno, which then became a community photography darkroom, and then it was abandoned and it needed significant renovating until this latest incarnation. And this space is a collectively programmed with a series of events and experiments acting as a tool for reflection and exchange and ideas about the future. And here we've got a creative working with volunteers who are very, very passionate about Himalayan balsam removal. And Nessav, and this is our last creative, and he's been exploring conversations with members of the Penmachno community to explore ideas through storytelling in rural communities and the reflection and the relationships with valley and landscape. Just something that's quite been really interesting throughout this whole process of the creatives is that there are so many things to try and share at each level, and I'm sure you appreciate this is just the tip of the iceberg, and to try and summarize lessons learned is really hard, and this is a process. You know, as Ewan mentioned earlier, this Zoom session is now informing us of what to share and how to share it, and trying to sort of tease out what's useful for others. But I would just say, from a commissioning perspective, in terms of the creative call out, one of our key lessons learned is us not defining what creative people should do, giving them the freedom to explore, not having loads of set outputs at the beginning. Why? Because obviously it lets creative people work with the communities and to discuss what's actually wanted. And it results in more meaningful engagement, establishing trust and to develop between all the peoples involved. So now we're going to just have a little film. We're really keen to show you this film. So the footage for this was only shot just over a week ago, so it is a work in progress. We felt it was really important for you to hear some of the creative voices in their experience with Dyffryn Dyfodol. There is a section that hasn't been translated yet, but those that don't speak Welsh, it'll be okay. Okay, Ewan.
Pobl yn dod gynta.
Trying things out.
This is something that feels really, really different and exciting.
Challenging and supportive, and personally confidence building.
Complete openness like never before. Fantastic.
It's a really, really great project. It's really opened my eyes. It's really helping open NRW's eyes into different ways of doing things.
It's a project that involves a group of artists working with different communities with a remit that's very open-ended, that focuses on this very broad question of how the artists can work with the communities to together kind of explore how to make their surroundings, their communities, better places.
Os oes yna rhywbeth consistent yn mynd i ddigwydd, mae rai ni weithio efo unigolion i fel empowerio nhw so bod nhw'n cymryd responsibility hefyd, bod ni just ddim yna i wneud y meddwl drostyn nhw, achos dyda ni ddim yna o ddydd i ddydd. So roed y pŵar yna iddyn nhw, dwi'n meddwl, i wneud y dewisiadau iddyn nhw hunan yn ei ardaloedd hunan.
We always talk about communities owning a piece of artwork or owning their project when we have a traditionally led community artwork. But I think in this instance, that's probably the first time it's genuinely true. So that's been really good.
I think it's interesting to put stuff out there, see what people do with it, and then potentially adjust it to fit what they want to do with it.
Trusted the fact that conversations will just ripple, because they do in normal life. You have a conversation, it travels, and there's no need to measure that. It's immeasurable. You just know, because we have people who talk, it goes, and that's great to have trusted that.
We've set the foundation, the basis in terms of the way we work with each other and the way that we interact with each other. But how we get up there has been completely open, has developed as we've gone along. That's been really interesting, really different and really informative. Learned an awful lot from that and tried to apply that within other areas of NRW.
The organic process and very subtle processes of like interactions and developing relationships with people, and the importance given to that, and the trust given to the moments that are kind of can be unseen between like a person working on a project like this and the people that they're working with.
But the size of the interventions that I have been able to instigate, encourage, offer, invite, so small, but they might last forever.
They might last forever. Indeed, they might. There was just one other thing I was just going to give you a little tease about, which is another activity from our theme of small interventions, is that we have offered £200 for people to implement ideas with support if needed to make their community better. And so with research in mind, we've trialled it in 2 different ways so far, with another one planned in September. So that's it from me. Over to you, Yuan.
Diolch, Katie, hwnna'n briliant. Mae'n hyd yn excited fi gymaint beth ti'n sôn am beth ni'n neud yma. Oh my god, ni'n neud loads. A mae hwnna just fel ti di sôn, mae'n just chydig bach o beth ni'n neud ydy hwnna. So, dwi'n gwybod da chi wedi bod yn gwrando eitha dipyn yma. So, i ddeffro chi, mae yna Zoom poll arall i chi. Let's go. Gan ni neud hwn y fyw. So, mae yna 2 gwestiwn sy'n rhaid chi ateb nhw os da chi'n eisiau, a mae nhw'na os da chi yn ffansio ateb nhw. So, gawch chi olwg i'r cwestiynau a gweld beth chi'n meddwl. Yna roi rhyw funud all i chi ddarllen, digestio ag atab. Eith yna rili helpu ni efo'r gwaith ymchwil da ni'n neud. Oedd chi ateb hwnna, diolch. Dwi'n gweld bod pobl dal wrthi yn ateb, so dwi ddim wedi cael ei cweit eto, yn rhoi cyfle i pawb. Tra bod chi yn cwblhau hwnna, na i jyst crynhoi beth ni'n neud hyd yma cyn ni glywed gen Claire am be mae wedi glywed heddiw yma. So, da ni wedi rhan ychydig wybodaeth efo chi am gefndir y prosiect, am sut da ni wedi datblygu'r partneriaeth, diolch jyst yn amrannu hynna, egwyddorion a dulliau gweithio, enghreifftiau hunig yn Sioned, diolch am rannu hynna Sioned, a siampla o rei o'r gweithgareddau amrywiol da ni wedi gwneud am y prosiect. Diolch Katie, a sori Katie bod fi bresio ti yn newid y slides yr amser rong. Ymddiheuriad am hynna. So, dwi am gau y poll yna wan. Diolch i chi am gwblhau hwnna, mae hwnna'n brel. A wedyn dwi am droi wan ta at Claire i gynnig sylwad am beth ti wedi glywed heddiw yma, Claire. So, na i basio drosodd at ti. Diolch.
Wel, diolch, Iwan, a diolch to Justin, Sioned and Katie as well. I didn't quite know what I was going to come into today, and all sorts of words buzzing around in my head around inspiration, richness, freedom, possibility, and actually, you know, just this process of getting together and sharing as you go along, work in progress, taking, you know, ideas and developing them organically as we go through. Hugely interesting. Just a sort of few thoughts and comments, really. One of the things that really struck me is, I suppose, you know, I grew up on the Welsh borders, and I've always been interested in. Sorry, I've got a dog demanding attention. Shush, go on. And I think I've always been interested in borders and sort of liminal spaces between things. And I've been very lucky in my career. I've been able to work with artists, but always in situations where artists are working with scientists or academics, or in different sort of situations, and out of those different situations, whether it was, you know, the big cultural program associated with the centenary of World War I, or the Cultural Olympiad, or around working with arts and science in sort of cancer research. There's something interesting about those liminal spaces, about where possibility, potential, things can change. And I think there's a lot in this about that sort of space of possibility and potential that we need to hold on to. We've just published our new corporate plan up to 2030. I mean, the next decade will be absolutely decisive in terms of our response to the climate and nature emergencies and to the pollution crisis we face. And we have a vision of people and nature thriving together, and 3 very clear objectives about, you know, creating communities that are resilient to climate change, Wales where nature is recovering and where pollution is minimised. And partnerships are clearly absolutely key to this. But for me, it's not just the traditional partnerships. And I suppose in the Conwy Valley, we have worked over many, many years with the National Trust. And that's a very comfortable and normal and, you know, usual partnership for us. But if you do the same thing with the same people over and over again, you might get good results and you might achieve stuff. But actually, if we're looking for the level of transformative change necessary to tackle the climate and nature emergencies, we can't just do the same thing we've always done. We need to do things differently. We need to do different things differently with different people. And that's why I've been so interested in the partnership that has evolved and grown and spread and all the rest of it in Dyffryn Dyfodol. Because finally, just that sort of, you know, those big system change things, communities more resilient to climate change, nature recovering, they're huge. They can feel really daunting. You know, what can we do to contribute to them? And it's quite easy to just feel, you know, well, nothing really. But actually, what you see in a project like this are those small actions growing, doing those small things that grow and give communities and individuals real agency, real power to make a difference. And I think that's hugely important. But I think all the way through this, you've heard the impact that being part of a different sort of partnership is having on NRW. You know, we're a big all Wales state-funded body full of lots of passionate environmentalists, but we're quite pointy-headed and data-focused and all the rest of it. And what we're doing is we're learning not to be a state body, but to be part of a community, to collaborate, to work with communities in a completely different way, to let go of some of those. I liked the chat thing about organisations letting go of stuff, letting go of some of the things that, you know, ways of working that we have had for years and years and years, doing things differently and tapping into that wisdom of communities and the power of artists and makers to interpret what we're going through and to help all of us to make sense of it. So hugely powerful, hugely interesting. I loved my day out in Penmachno recently and visiting Oriel at Machno and meeting the team. It was great. And I sort of be really interested to hear as we go into a sort of Q&A session, how people see this moving forward and what people's sort of aspirations and hopes are for the project.
Wych, diolch Claire for sharing. That's really lovely to hear that from you. Diolch for sharing. And your question's a good one, because this, dwi'n mynd i droi nôl I Gymraeg, anghofio gyda hynna. So this is kind of a set amount of time project where we've explored what we've shared with you today. So it has a shelf life in its current form with the current funding, Absolutely. So be da ni'n mynd i wneud nesaf, da ni'n gobeithio medru parhau mewn rhyw ffordd hefo dim y gweithgaredd o bosib, ond y ffyrdd o weithio. A dyna, pryd ni'n dechrau'r prosiect i fi, o'n i'n dychmygu, ella bod ni'n ffeindio ffordd o wneud rhywbeth fel digwyddiad sy'n mynd i gael ei ailadrodd yn mas, ond dim hynna o gwbl stod allan ohono fo i fi, ond y ffordd da ni wedi mynd o gwmpas bethau a dulliau gweithredu ydy'r bit dysgu mwyaf i fi. So beth ni'n hoffi weld ydy bod ni'n gallu rhannu beth da ni wedi wneud. Dim dweud bobl be i wneud, na sydd wedi wneud o, ond jyst rhannu beth da ni wedi wneud, sy'n mae'n profiad ni wedi bod, hefo gweddill y byd, really. Ac os yna ddim byd all yn dod ohono fo mwy na hynna, mae hynna wedi bod werthfawr. Ond sy'n ni'n gobeithio bod ni'n gallu parhau i gydweithio yn y ffordd amgen yma hefo cymunedau yn yr ardal lle ni'n gweithio wan, a sy hwnt fel mae Justin wedi dweud, y replicability, dwi'n meddwl Justin used the word, sut da ni'n gallu ailadrodd yr un i fath o dulliau mewn lleoliadau hefo bobl gwahanol. Da ni'n gwybod yr atebion, ond mae hwnna'n rhywbeth rili difyr i ni archwilio, dwi'n meddwl, wrth symud ymlaen i'r dyfodol. So, diolch am y cwestiwn, Claire. Dwi yn gwybod bod ni'n diwi orffen mewn rhyw 8 munud, a mae gennau rhyw 2 munud y diwedd dwi eisiau gwneud poll arall efo chi. So, dwi eisiau agor o allan i unrhyw gwestiynau os gennych chi sydd wedi mynychu heddiw wedi bod yn amyneddgar iawn, dwi'n gwybod ni'n rhannu lot o stwff. So os yna gwestiynau gennych chi sydd wedi codi yn sgil y sgwrs neu rhywbeth da chi'n siŵr am, eisiau ni egluro mwy, sa'n gret. Ia, mae Melody wedi codi llaw, Melody wna'i basio at y ti, diolch i ti. Dwi dal ddim yn clywed ti, Melody. Sorry, so can't hear you. No. Do you want to put it in the chat and I'll read it out for you? A wedyn na'i droi at Liz, mae gen Liz gwestiwn. Dros y ti, Liz?
Cymau, bwrw da.
Hi, Liz.
Prynawn da, even. Just yn meddwl nawr, beth yw, wel, cwestiwn syml te, sut ydych chi'n adnabod y pobl i weithio gyda yn eich ardal chi?
Yn y cymunedau?
Ie.
Heidi, neu Sioned, neu Justin, na rhywun ond lle bod bawb yn gorfod gwrando'r llais fi, neu dych chi fi ata?
Dwi'n hapus i atab ochr ni, doedd na ddim pobl iawn a pobl ddim yn iawn i ni o ran y prosiect yma. Oedd y pobl oedd eisiau gysylltu fyny, oedd y croeso na i bawb, a hefyd oedd o fyny iddyn nhw pa mor bell oedden nhw eisiau mynd â fo hefyd, so os oedden nhw eisiau stopio gael chat, oedd hwnna'n ffain, os oedden nhw eisiau stopio i wneud rhywbeth efo ni, oedd hwnna'n iawn hefyd. Doedd na ddim objectives i gyrraedd fel idodd Katie, doedd na'm rhifa, doedd na ddim strydoedd, ac i fi o gefndir lle oedd na lot o objectives, a lot o outcomes a bethau ar y dechrau, nath hwnna gymryd gymaint amser i fi i gael ymhen rownd efo i ddechrau fo, ond mae rhywun wedi rhoi yn y chat gyna pa mor werthfawr mae hwnna wedi gallu bod. So ie, nath hwnna neud gwahaniaeth mawr.
Justin, ti eisiau dod i mewn?
Johan, what I say to that is, for one example, in terms of the cycle cinemas, was that although we identified maybe a Cartrefi Cymru housing estate, it was very open as to who turned up, because a table was put up in the estate, made to look inviting. Come and do this activity, make a Welsh cake or whatever, and tell us what you think. While we're doing this, let's talk about the future, but also tell us what film you want to watch. Next week when we come here with the cycle cinema, and some of the learning from that was also really interesting. And I won't name the communities involved, but one of the communities, when asked the question, so who should we invite, would say invite everybody, more the better. Everybody that comes, fantastic. The more people that come, the better. One of the other communities said, don't tell anybody else. We just want it to be us. There's so much that happens for other people down that end of the village. We just want it for us. And just immediately, a difference in communities that you have to respect and you have to think about and you have to plan around what you do.
Diolch. O gen ti follow-on question, Liz, neu?
Na, just yn beth sydd yn rili ysbrydoledig am hwn yw bod chi wir wedi ymgysylltu gyda'r pobl iawn. Mae gymaint ohonyn ni, mae mor hawdd i ni ymgysylltu gyda'r pobl dyn ni wastad yn ymgysylltu gyda, tyfu hwnna chydig bach mewn rhyw ffordd. Ond, yr unig ffordd ych chi'n dod i nabod pobl yw noc o drysau. So, da iawn, mae'n prosiect arbennig, chwerthyg.
Reit, diolch Liz am rannu. Mae yna cwpl o cwestiynau yn y chat. Sa'n mynd i un i ateb yn gyflym a wedyn dod si ein. So, what was the budget for the part of the project Working with Creatives? Oedden nhw'n cael £3,000 yr un, plus £2,000 to come and visit. Cost nhw, a hynna ddim yn cynnwys amser ni hefyd, ond dyna os oedd yna 6 am nhw i gyd. Ond jyst un elfen ydy'r creative call-out na, dim pob peth yn ei wneud. Einir, at ti?
Diolch. Jyst eisiau ategu bethau sydd wedi cael ei dweud yn barod yn y chat a gyda unigolion fan hyn, pan mor bwysig a gwerthfawr yw'r prosiect yma i ddangos y ffordd bod angen gweithio mewn ffordd wahanol efo cymunedau, a ydych chi'n llwyddo i wneud hynny. Da ni'n dueddol o greu rhywbeth, marchnata fe, gwerthu tocynnau a gadael, a dyna'r ffordd da ni'n gweithredu yn arferol, a mae angen newid hynna, a mae newid y ffordd yna o weithio yn cael effaith gadarnhaol ar sawl maes, o ran yr amgylchedd, o ran yr iaith Gymraeg, o ran nifer o bethau i weithio gyda pobl yn hytrach na ar eu rhan nhw a chyflwyno rhywbeth a gadael, felly diolch o galon am arwain y ffordd efo'r cynllun yma, a bwydo mewn i gynlluniau eraill hefyd.
Diolch Einir, diolch Einir. Dwi'n ymwybodol bod ni yn rhedeg allan amser. Mae croeso i chi e-bostio ni hefo cwestiynau. Da ni'n rili keen i gadw mewn cyswllt efo chi, ond dwi yn mynd i lansio poll ola. Mae yna 2 gwestiwn eto, mae'n mynd i chi os da chi eisiau ateb neu ddim, mae'n mynd i chi'n llwyr os da chi eisiau ateb ddau, neu dim ond un, neu ddim ohonyn nhw gwbl. Ond na i roi hwnna fyny fanna i chi, a na i roi cyswllt e-bost yn y chat i chi, fel bod gennych chi link yn ymgyrchol at ni. Os ydych chi'n dweud yma, trwy chi'n ateb hynna. So mae e-bost fi yn y chat yma. So unrhyw follow-up, unrhyw sgyrsiau mae bobl eisiau eto, really barod i rannu lot o fanylion. Haid mi warnio chi, da ni gyd yn gallu siarad am ddyddi a cyfan am y prosiect, so da chi roi wythnos i ni, gallwn ni fynd drwy pob peth. Ond ia, go iawn ddo, os da chi eisiau sgwrs, da ni'n hapus cael sgwrs pellach yn un am manylion, so ia. A wedyn, Melody, o gen ti gwestiwn o ti eisiau holi hefyd, neu di'r moment yn mynd? Oce, dim problem. So pawb dal yn ateb. Melody, ti eisiau trio eto? No? Okay. In the chat. Okay. Email me, Melody, if you've got a question anyway. My email's there. So, brilliant. Gret, diolch chi am gwblhau polls. Dwi'n meddwl bod wedi gweithio eisiau polls, na do? Sut mae wedi bod i chi? Okay? Ddim rhy anodd? Eitha hawdd? Cool, really defnyddiol i ni cael gwybodaeth yna, so diolch chi am wneud hynna. So, mae gen i funud ar ôl. Dwi'n mynd i ddod â pethau i ben wan, wrth ddiolch fawr iawn i pawb sydd wedi dod at ni heddiw yma. Rili gwerthfawrogi, fel dyn ni'n dweud y dechrau, ni'n gwybod beth i ddisgwyl, na beth dyn ni'n gwneud, dweud y gwir. So, dyn ni'n dysgu eitha lot, ac dyn ni'n edrych ar y quizzes na, dyn ni wedi rhoi i chi weld beth i'r adborth. So'n gret, os gennych chi sylwadau eraill ychwanegu yn y chat, neu os ydych chi eisiau e-bostio, mae croeso i chi wneud. A diolch arbennig i y partneriaid a'r ariannwyr sydd wedi hyn o'n bosib. So, gyda'n cyfyddyda am ariannu prosiect, i Cartrefi Conwy fod yn rhan o'r prosiect, Cyfathrebu Cymru ac yn arbennig i Clare sydd wedi mynd efo ni heddiw yma. Diolch o galon, Clare, am ddod at ni heddiw rili ddifrif gweld sylwad ydi. A wedyn wrth iddi daro, chwarter wedi 12, dwi'n mynd diolch fawr, a nawn ni weld chi yn fuan. Cadwch mewn cyswllt. Diolch pawb.